The origin of WAND is to be found in the foresight of a woman called SYBIL Francis, who was then head of the Social Welfare Training Center at the Mona campus. And SYBIL Francis, within the context of the movements, so to speak, and the movements against the exclusion of social groups, felt that women should be brought into line with the whole issue of development and planning in countries. And this was taking place in the context of the integration of women in the development planning, which was at the time the most burning issue for women, not just in the Caribbean, but women in the world. So she organized, with the support of the Bureau, the Women's Bureau in Jamaica, a regional women's seminar conference, so to speak. And out of that came the idea that a women's organization should be set up and should be placed within the outreach arm. At the time it was extra-mural department of the University of the West Indies, because of the flexibility of the extramural section, so it could work as a regional institute, as a regional entity, so to speak, within the Caribbean. As you know, the extramural center has centers right through the Caribbean, so there is the linkages, the structure was already in place. So one was born out of the concern of regional women, that women as a social group was being excluded from all issues of development and planning by governments in our region, and that was supported by the international feminist movement, so to speak, an international women's movement. And I'm sure you know all about the Nairobi conference and the Beijing conference, which addressed issues of this sort. So one really was the brainchild of SYBIL Francis, but born within a context of national liberation.
Yes, wonderful. And it brought together women from the whole region.
Well, the mandate of WAND is to serve women of all classes, all color, of all kinds, women of all walks of life throughout the region. And its mandate is very simple. It is to initiate, promote, and support all activities, measures that are in the interest of the social advancement of Caribbean women, and we do it through community intervention services, we do it through informal education, we do it through research and documentation. And I must say that one has since about 1998 a specialized women's library. I think it's the only kind in the region. It carries over 7,000 titles, plus periodicals, journals, posters, cards, whatever relating to women. WAND predated the Women and Development Studies group, which existed on all campuses in the 1980s. Although it preceded it, it was also a part of it. And I must say that WAND was very instrumental through its first tutor coordinator, Peggy Antrobus, in assisting in the setting up of the establishment of the Center for Gender and Development Studies then, and it has evolved into the Institute of Gender and Development Studies. So through her work, we can say that WAND made a contribution to the establishment of the institute, which came to reality in 1993. To say this, what is interesting about the University of the West Indies is that it brings together formal and non-formal education in its whole educational construct. And in that sense, while there is really no kind of link, organic or inorganic link, between WAND and the Institute, although both deal with women's issues, their mandates are quite different. But at the same time, as tutor coordinator of WAND, I sit on the Board of Studies for the Institute of Gender and Development Studies, which are our unit in Barbados.
Well, thank you for sharing some of the history with us, with the younger generation, the students on St. Augustine campus, for them to be able to understand fully all the work that has gone before to make us what we are now.
Just one last thing. There is a book, maybe it's a plug, but there is a book that was commissioned by the School of Continuing Studies on the history of the extramural department And it's called Breaking Down the Walls, and it looks at the history from, I think it's 1946, 47 to 2000. I think students should be able to access it through the library, and then they can read not only how one was set up, or the Center for Gender and Development Studies was set up, but how the university itself was erected.
Yes.
On the basis of the 4 critical units within the extra-mural department. And I think that's an important thing that we all need to know, because sometimes we don't value outreach work, but
Yes.
it is outreach that has grounded the university in this Caribbean.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So how do you see Open Campus being an asset to IGDS?
The way in which the Open Campus can be an asset to the Institute is basically through the delivery of programs. How it works, well, there's a little problem, but how it works, the Open Campus has a wider stretch than the fixed campuses, logically. And so if we say that we are serving as a university, the with 12 countries and perhaps beyond, then the fixed campuses won't do it alone. So courses then could be developed by the Institute, for example, rewritten for distance, and then sent out
Right.
globally and regionally. So the Open Campus has a critical role to play in disseminating courses and creating funds for the University of
Yes.
West Indies.
And it's fabulous because it's distance learning, it's online as well.
Yes.
And we have found just through our social networking at IGDS now that we have people on our pages and sites that are from Turkey and Pakistan, Ghana. I mean, really people from across the globe who want to come to the Caribbean.
Oh yes. In my tenure in the Women and Development Unit, we have had correspondence from people, yes, Pakistan, Africa, everywhere, wanting information on what takes place in the Caribbean, wanting Caribbean literature. In fact, there was a particular document on media that the Jamaica Media Watch had put out on women in the media, and this group in Pakistan wanted a copy for their purposes, for training purposes. So they wrote to one. Everybody writes to one for everything they want. They even write to one for information on how to enroll into the Open Campus, because the WAND, I don't know if WAND is known more than the Open Campus, but we seem to be getting a lot of mail from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that I can credit to Peggy Antrobus,
Yes.
who carried WAND in a global and a regional sense quite well.
Yeah.
And so we also in one disseminate material on the Caribbean to our partners, other women's groups throughout the world,
Yes.
wherever they exist, Africa, whether it is Africa. We have sent quite a bit of work into African countries and other regions, as well
Yeah.
as ordinary women in their community-based organizations.
Wonderful. It's really great to hear of the work and to hear how it has been able to actually take UE and IGDS to so many people across the globe.
Yeah, and there's a quality also to the Open Campus that doesn't exist in the Institute, is that, Open Campus, well, we're working towards it, but the concept of openness is that it erodes barriers, it eliminates barriers. And so therefore, the university can reach women at the level of the community who don't have who are mature students, so to speak, who can be brought into the academic structure, whether to do a personal development course or a professional development course. And so the Open Campus has that, I would prefer to refer to it as a different class quality, because we're dealing with people, rural people I'm talking about, rural people, bringing them into the structures of the university. So the Open Campus has potential to reach women at any level.
Yes, that's wonderful. It's been really nice chatting with you, Dr. Soares.